Fix the hair, fix the hair. Hi everyone. For those of you tuning in for the first time, I am Chloe Temption. I'm a singer, a songwriter, performer. I receive lots of questions, so I answer them. And today I'm going to be talking about anger. Somebody wrote me recently about anger and how their condition, which happens to be pulmonary hypertension, has made them very angry. Do I feel angry? If I do, how do I overcome it? So I have to say, the reason that I don't feel anger as a result of this situation, pulmonary hypertension, is because I feel like there is some serious stuff that I need to learn as a result of my diagnosis. It's essentially taking something this serious in my life to get me to learn these lessons. And had pulmonary hypertension ever come into my life, these are lessons I may never have learned, and these are obviously lessons that I need to learn. Now, don't get me wrong, I get extremely frustrated and I do get angry sometimes. And particularly, my anger is at this guy, this cannula, which, I'm on oxygen 24/7, so I sleep with this. And I get very tangled up in the night. I trip on it, other people step on it, it pulls my face. I get really frustrated at the cannula and I want to rip it and burn it and have a seance where I just burn all cannulas. I'd say more than frustrated, it's like sometimes I just feel a bit discouraged because you can be out with your friends and everybody's walking and talking, which is a pretty simple thing in life to do, walk and talk, but is my battery on? Yes. For me, it's a little bit more difficult sometimes, especially if we're walking up a slight incline. I'm trying to breathe and I'm trying to also play it off like I'm okay so that nobody knows that I'm literally cannot breathe and feel like the world is going to end. So those can be times that are much more so for me discouraging than anger inducing, if that makes sense. Whatever happens to us in our life happens for a reason, and anger is almost a block. And because of anger, it could be that we never learn the lesson. So I think removing that anger and realizing that sometimes these things happen to us and they can be really terrible things, but they're there for a reason. At least I believe that. I believe that things really do happen for a reason. And in focusing on all of the things that I've gained actually as a result of being diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension, it's kind of changed my life, because if I think about my life prior, one-track mind me, I'm still one-track minded, but I was on a mission. It was all about my music. It was all about my work. I didn't really want to make time for friends, family. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to have fun. I didn't want to do anything aside from create music and work on my craft. Actually, I think that it was the obsession in it was actually narrowing my life, and it was actually making it harder for me to accomplish my mission because not a lot was balanced in my life and my brain was solely focused on my career and making things happen, and all other things were just kind of put aside. And when this happened and when I was diagnosed and when I was told I didn't have much time left to live, because when they found the pulmonary hypertension, finally after 5 years of being misdiagnosed, they were like, you only have days left to live. Excuse me. And so it was kind of the worst news you could get with regard to yourself. And that kind of knocked everything into perspective, and all of a sudden music, which was my life, completely went out the window, and my life became about family, quality time with my friends. It became about going out into nature, which I used to be like, oh, I don't need to do any of that. I just need to lock myself in a room and write songs. It became about going to the beach. I've taken walks, things I used to kind of make fun of that. I was like, oh, I don't need to do any of those things. I just need to sit in a room with my piano and my guitar and make music. That's it. And all of a sudden that just became meant nothing to me anymore. Nothing. When I was initially diagnosed, everybody was like, oh, did you worry about the fact that you'd never make music again? No. Not at all. And music was the furthest thing from my mind. I couldn't have cared less if I had never made music again. I was so scared for my life that honestly the only thing that mattered was staying alive. Then of course, as I started to get better, music came back full force. But it came back in a very different way because I had perspective, and all of a sudden all of these other aspects of my life became really important to me. And they're part of my 5 key principles that I talk about all the time. And I think that truthfully, they fuel my music now, whereas it was very narrow before. But now it's much larger, and it actually inspires my music, and I think makes my music better, I hope. But at least it makes it a lot more meaningful for me now. That's a lesson that pulmonary hypertension has taught me. When you're in a situation where you could lose your life, all of a sudden you gain an insane amount of perspective, and I talk about this in a lot of my videos. And that perspective and that lesson is why I'm not angry. Everybody is dealing with something in life, whether it be a chronic illness, whether it just be a situation in their life. People lose their job, people lose their relationships, people lose people. There's so many things in this life that we're dealing with. Everybody's dealing with something, and it's so difficult sometimes to see the lesson in the situation because it's so traumatic and so horrible. All I can say is that in my experience, at least so far, I'm realizing that these things happen and that there are so many lessons in them, but we actually have to look for the lessons. And if you can find the lessons, all of a sudden all the other things like anger and frustration seem to disappear, at least for me. So I hope this video has been helpful. If you guys want to ask questions, you can always write me at lifebychloe.com. You can also leave your emails there because you'll receive updates, music, free things, merchandise, all sorts of things that pertain to my universe. So you can leave us your emails there, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching.